Good evening, everyone. Welcome to GDSC Samvad, Episode 3 Personal Branding and Internships. Proper placements call for the need of knowing about internships and personal branding. Your personal brand follows you wherever you go and sometimes even lingers after you leave a room. I am Tarsha Sorukaibu, the host for the event today, and we have a guest speaker, Vaishnavi Dwivedi, an ex-GDSC lead from the University of Mumbai, creator of MichiSpotlight and a Github Field Expert. Professionally, she's a full stack developer with much professional experience in mobile applications using Flutter, Dart, React, and Node.js. A humble request to the audience to feel free to be inquisitive and ask questions during the event. Over to Vaishnavi to take over the event.
Hi, thank you so much, Darsha, for that introduction. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. It's Sunday evening. Okay, thanks a lot for giving up your free time and like watching something productive. I'm really glad that you all are here. um, we won't extend, like we won't stretch this a lot than it's supposed to be. It's not going to be a very long session or a boring lecture that you'll have to endure. So in this session, essentially, we are supposed to talk about personal branding and how to translate that personal brand into internships and opportunities that we can leverage as students. So essentially, like there are a lot of things where in which in this particular field that we can do as students. Um, a lot of things in particular include, first of all, like building an online presence on certain platforms. Like we all know, LinkedIn is one of them, and Twitter is also one of them. A lot of people have some misconceptions about Twitter, so we'll try to get into that as well. And then how to translate your online personal brand, which you may or may not have been building for, like, the past year, maybe throughout the pandemic, or like has started building now online as a student, into the offline mode. Because like now a lot of people are going to meetups and trying to network with people. There are a lot of offline events happening, even though COVID is kind of increasing even now. But still, like we have offline events. We have the GitHub Field Day coming up in India, which is an event that I'm organizing as a field expert along with two other field experts in India. So, we have a lot of offline events coming up in India and all across the world, honestly. And just to sort of, we'll also talk about how to translate that online personal brand into the offline meetups that are going to happen in the next couple of months and like the next year. Because obviously we want to make sure that COVID is completely gone. Maybe it won't be completely gone after a certain point, but still, like, we'll have to live in a world where it kind of coexists somehow. So, but obviously, there will be offline events happening soon on a very large scale again. So, which is why we need to be prepared as students on how to leverage those events for networking purposes and like different other purposes. So, and like just to sort of make sure that you get opportunities, you are up to date with the ecosystem, the newest technologies that are out there, what kind of job market is out there, what kind of skills you need to be prepared with in order to make sure that you are ready for this. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what we'll be talking about. And thanks a lot for joining. I see around 21 people watching right now, and I'm really grateful to all of you. So we'll just get on with the presentation. I have a presentation and I will share that so that it doesn't get too monotonous. Uh, so if the organizers can share the presentation on the screen, that'll be great. Um, Anyone in the organizers? Can you all share the slides? Guess not. There might be. Okay. All right. So let's just wait for a minute for them to display the screen. In the meantime, I'll just go over a few more things that we wanna like just talk about and like set up some context. So all those of you who are watching, let's we can try to be more interactive here. Okay. We have the slides. So yeah, basically in this session we'll be talking about how to leverage your personal brand as a student. uh, when I say personal brand, what I mean by that is that you have built some sort of credibility among people who might or might not know you. We don't this I mean this doesn't include your friends or people who you might know on a personal level. These This includes people who are like someone who you want to connect with professionally. You want to build some sort of credibility with people who you want to like connect with professionally for opportunities for different things. When I say credibility, what I mean is that as a person on the internet, I don't know what you can do or what your skills are. You can claim to be an Android developer, but you may not know anything about Java or any thing about programming at all. So how do you build your credibility in the eyes of people who are like who don't know you personally, or who you have never met and who have never met you? So how to build credibility in those people's eyes is how we build a personal brand, is why we build a personal brand. Because this personal brand allows us to showcase what our skills are, what things we can do as a person, and how we can use these skills in a professional setting to generate profits for a certain company if we want them to hire us, or just in general how we can generate opportunities for different people, or how we can collaborate with different people to create things that are going to be beneficial, mutually beneficial to people, or just in general giving back to the community, or being of some sort of benefit to oneself. So there are a lot of things and factors associated with personal brand and why people build it. And in my opinion, the best reason to build a personal brand as a student is that it is the easiest way. Not, I won't say the easiest, but it's the most creative way and like the most effective way in which you can get really really good opportunities, internships, opportunities to collaborate with different people, learn more about different things and stuff, and explore different domains and opportunities. So just in general, for you to like broaden your horizons, I think as a student it's very important to build yourself a personal brand. Now for now, a lot of since the past 2 3 years we've been in the pandemic, not 3 but 2 years. We've been in the pandemic and we've not had a normal sort of life going on for us. We've been stuck at home. So in order to make the best out of the work from home or slash study from home life, was to build a personal brand either on LinkedIn or Twitter. Just connect with people online and build your credibility there, and then learn about opportunities that you may not have otherwise. So yeah, that like this is how we have been working and functioning for the past 2 years. And like we learn more about how to function in the offline and like the transitioning world from online to offline, because I mean a lot of us, we've never seen that offline world that used to exist before. So let's get on with the presentation now. uh, Even though Darsha had introduced me a bit, I'll just go over and tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm Vaishnavi, and like I am a full stack product designer. What that means is that I can code and I can design stuff. Basically, I can design stuff and then I can code it up as well. So that's kind of my specialty. I am a community builder. I have built a lot of communities for like companies like DYDX and I have my own community called MichiSpotlight, where we help students find their path in tech beyond, let's say, just the traditional roles like software engineering. So that's one thing. And I am a ex GDSC lead. I used to be GDSC lead in my third year. Now I've graduated. Like I graduated about a week ago. I am a GitHub campus expert, a GitHub field expert, organizing the GitHub field day or days. I think I should say days, because there's going to be two GitHub field days. It's a unconference by GitHub Education. You can learn more about all of these things by searching online. I think that way you will get a lot of info. And I'm also a Figma community advocate. Figma is a tool for designers to build great UI and UX experiences, interaction and visual designs. It's a vector based tool. You can find it on the web or desktop. So, yeah, that's kind of what I do in a bit of a brief, in just in case you're wondering why I'm here and like why am I qualified to talk about this topic. I mean, in general, like I think a lot of people what they associate personal branding with is the number of followers or the number of people that know you through social media, right? I wouldn't say know you, but like just are connected with you through social media. And I mean, I over the past 2 years, I've like worked a lot on building like a very strong presence online, which is why a lot of people think that okay, maybe a lot of people know me, or maybe I know a lot of people, but that's actually not true because. Like once you step into the offline world, you understand and you get to know that okay, this was just something that just pressing a follow button and then the other person pressing it back doesn't mean that you know the person, right? All you know is like the way they present themselves online. So in order to actually know people, you'll have to meet them, you have to talk to them. And I think building a personal brand is getting to know people, if not on a personal level, but at least like on a surface level where you know what kind of person they are, just like on the top of it professionally, and like what all can they do, how can they be beneficial to you, or just in general to the opportunities and people around you. So you can like identify them whenever someone needs them, or like just in general when maybe they are in need or something like that. So that is essentially the point of building a personal brand. It's not just about having like hundreds and thousands of followers, but it's also about people actually believing in you as a person, people actually thinking that okay, this person actually does know something. Maybe they know you on some levels, maybe you know them on some levels. If I look at my Twitter, I have about 24,000 followers at this point, but I only follow 1,000 people, about like 1,500 people. And what I mean to say is that, I might only know about 200 to 300 people out of that entire statistic. So that's the thing that, like even knowing 200 to 300 people is a lot. Maybe not a lot for my age, but a lot considering the pandemic, I would say. So I mean it's just that like there's a lot of opportunities with personal branding, but don't uh, tie it too much or too deeply with numbers. That's all I want to say before we get started. Now, in the agenda today, we'll learn more about how to optimize your social profile, because without optimization, you won't be able to attract people to your profile and to yourself. Then, how to create content, which is like more of an outbound thing. You attract people, or like you just in general, like you build your credibility through the words you speak, right? I mean, the way you build and earn trust in people that are around you is by actions, right? By doing something. And creating content is like one of the major tasks that you can do on any social platform today. As a part of the web 2 ecosystem, you can create content on any platform. And then how to like slide into DMs, not in a creepy stalker kind of way, but like just in general, as a person who is who wants to connect with people and like wants to get on one-on-ones and all, because a lot of students, they kind of get confused on how to slide into DMs. I can literally show you hundreds of DMs on my Twitter and LinkedIn where people have just said hi, hey, can you give me some guidance, or can I ask you a question or something like that, and that those are wrong ways to approach someone, or to just in general slide into DMs of someone. So that is another thing. Then how to translate your online network into the offline mode, because like I said, we've been in the pandemic now that we're transitioning into the offline mode, how to do that exactly, and how to take your online profile and like make sure that people offline are also aware of it. Recently I went to this event in New Delhi. I live in Mumbai, by the way, and in New Delhi I went to this event, and not a lot of people were aware who I was. And it was like fine, obviously, I mean, I've barely been to like 2 to 3 offline meetups, that too just in Mumbai. And it was kind of like, even after building so much a presence online, still, like, a lot of people did not know what I was doing there, even though I was like one of the organizers or like one of the hosts of the event. But still there are a lot of people who didn't recognize me, and like I did not recognize a lot of really good people who were doing a lot of great work, and I did actually know them very well online. But when you go offline, you go beyond that one profile photo and like that, the content that people write and the bio and the one liners. That's, I mean, there's a lot more. There's a 3D form attached to people other than like just their online profile. So that is like kind of fascinating after 2 years. So that's something that we can definitely go in a bit more depth into. And then how to leverage your online presence into opportunities, like, because that's kind of why we're doing it, right? We're not just doing it to become famous. Not all of us, I mean, I think people who do this on Instagram are probably doing this for becoming famous. But today, in the creators economy, a lot of people are trying to become content creators and influencers on LinkedIn, Instagram, these big platforms, because so that they can, like, get some additional income from the side, because a lot of people will approach them, a lot of companies will try to approach them to, sponsor their products, or like just make reels about their products. If you've seen, I think a lot of influencers do that, and that's kind of like a side income for them. For some of them it's like a full-time thing. So a lot of people are getting into this business for those kind of reasons as well. But for us, we are doing this like as people in tech, or like as developers, as as designers, as someone who is in the tech ecosystem, where we know that we have a lot of great opportunities in companies, and like, as engineers. So we are doing this so that, we can make sure that people are aware of our skills. A lot of times people, like, because there's so many people, there's so much competition, how to stand out of that competition is what we want to do, right? And applying for jobs and internships is the way we try to leverage our personal brand. So that's kind of the agenda. I know that I took some time explaining it, but it was important before we jumped into the actual matter of things. So yeah, let's jump on to how to optimize your online profile. First of all, try to make sure that your profile is complete. A lot of times what we've seen is that, people with no profile photos are approaching that, okay, can you hire me, or can you give me a referral in this company or that company where you're working or something. So that is one way. Obviously I don't know you at all. I can't even see your face. I don't even know how you look like. If, let's just say, we meet in person, I won't know who you are. We wouldn't even recognize each other if you don't have a identity attached to your online profile. So it's very, very important that you put a profile photo at least on your LinkedIn or Twitter, whichever platform you want to choose. In my opinion, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. Even though what I did initially was like, I tried to grow my LinkedIn first, and then I jumped onto Twitter, and then I grew that. So it was like, I took one thing at a time, and then I started growing each of those platforms. Because the thing is that the mindset that you have as a creator and the people have as an audience are totally different on LinkedIn and on Twitter. So you can choose either of these two platforms. In my opinion, both of them like are pretty good platforms, but like I will be more biased towards Twitter, because Twitter has like given me way more opportunities, has given me like like a lot of room to like develop myself and connect with a lot of really good people, and not just connect like on a superficial level but on a personal level as well, like just talking to people. And people are just more chill over there because they are like they're not very uptight or trying to be too professional or too superficial. Whereas on LinkedIn, people are trying to be something that they're not. They're trying to be elated while they're announcing certain opportunities, or they're trying to be like, too, I don't know, proud, or I don't know. So those are some things to consider. Both the platforms are equally as effective when it comes to getting opportunities, but you have to choose one according to which fits you. In my opinion, Twitter is like, I think, one of the best platforms. If you're concerned that, okay, I don't want to get involved in politics and all that, you won't. All you have to do is you have to follow the right kind of people. If you go and follow Aaj Tak and NDTV news and all that news Twitter, or like politicians on Twitter or actors, then you will see all the meaningless stuff. But if you go and follow people who are, let's just say that, GitHub Campus Expert, GitHub Stars, or just in general, like software developers at big companies, at startups, CEOs, just in general, like these kind of people who are very active in the tech ecosystem, if you follow them, you will see more and more people. There are a lot of lists on Twitter as well, with like a list of all people who are like influencers and like people who talk about tech related stuff on Twitter. So try to find those people, try to create your profile that way. That way, Twitter will be like one of the best platforms you'll ever be on. That is my suggestion there. Now, be it either of these two platforms, make sure that you at least have a profile photo, a banner, and like a proper, like a bio. Maybe it doesn't have to be very long and listing out all your achievements. It could be something very simple also, but all you have to do is like make sure that if someone visits your profile, they should be able to find everything that there is to know about you professionally easily through that profile. You can link your link tree or some sort of link to all the work that you've done, your GitHub profile or your portfolio website or some other channel, and make sure that if I want to know who this person is sitting, whose profile I'm visiting right now, I should be able to find everything there is to know about them just by going to their profile, checking out their link, checking out their tweets or their posts, and just in general, like, learning more about them through just by visiting their profile. That is one very, very important thing. So make sure that all parts of your profile is complete. Then make sure that in through your profile you are trying to tell a story, because a lot of times what happens is that people just when they are online, they just look at profiles as like numbers, or like people that they want to add to the number of followers slash following that they have. You want to make sure that people, when they look at your profile, they see a person, they see a person's story, and that is very difficult to do online. So it's usually good to, like, let's say maybe attach some sort of text about yourself, or like some videos. Some, you don't have to record a video of yourself, you can create some sort of content that is visually engaging, and you can pin it on your profile. You can pin it on your Twitter, or you can add a good story, or like a bulleted, like a lot of bulleted points in your about section in LinkedIn, or just your featured post. Your featured posts on LinkedIn should not have certificates or anything, because that way, like, people will just immediately like know that you don't have anything worthwhile to show. You're only showing certificates, that means that you don't have anything else, right? Because certificates are like, honestly, they're just right now they're meaningless, because everyone has one. Everyone has a certificate for something or the other. What people are looking for is a person who can actually, who has the skills, who has shown that he or she has a skill, has the skills. So if you are claiming that you're a developer, try to, in your featured section, try to make sure that you have your projects listed over there, or like something that you're very proud of. Create a short video on like a demo sort of a thing for your projects, or like a case study that you may have created or something. But just try to showcase one of your like star piece of work on your profile. If you go on my Twitter, you can see, like, there is a video in the pinned tweet of MichiSpotlight, and it's an amazing video that was created by me and my brother. And like, a lot of people, when they see that, they're very very impressed, because it's like extremely well put together, and like it has a very strong energetic vibe about it. And like, when people look at my banner, they know that I am a creative person. And like, and I mean, obviously, just in general, by looking at my profile, they know that they can trust who this person is, right? So that is something that you want to make sure, and try to be as descriptive as possible, because this is your own space, this is your own block on the internet, right? This is your thing. You can do it the way you want to do it. I can't say that you should do this, and then only you will have a good profile. You do it the way you want to do it. If you don't want to put like thousands of things, you can just put like, how about no, in your bio, and even then people will understand something about your personality, right? So just try to be yourself. That's kind of what the advice is here. Now, when it comes to building that online personal brand that we're talking about, first of all, it's always good to understand why you are doing this. A lot of people, they think that, like I said, you're not doing this to become famous. Most of us are not, right? At least I am not, and like most people in the tech ecosystem are not. If you want to be famous, go be an actor, go find some sort of profession that you think that would befit being famous. You can go become a YouTuber. It's very easy to do that these days. Obviously not easy to become a consistent YouTuber, but it's easy. Like, there's no gatekeeping in becoming a YouTuber. You can just grab a mic, grab a camera, and do it. But like, being consistent is the hard part. So what my suggestion is here is that make sure that you have some sort of goals in mind why you're doing this. When I started out my building my personal brand, I did not necessarily have like a proper goal, which is why I almost spent about a year wandering about like different things, trying to do different things. Because when you're online, you will see a lot of people, you will see a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Some people might be building communities, some people might be doing meetups, some people might be doing some other kind of thing, like, maybe some people are building some sort of project, some people are doing machine learning, there some people are doing UX design. So there are different kinds of people doing different kinds of things, and if you don't have it clear in your mind and in yourself that you, like, this is what I want to do as well, then you will just end up blindly following and jumping on the next shiny thing that you see, right? Because you will be like, okay, now I want to do this, now I want to do that. That's what happens to most CS students. Whenever they start coding, they're like, oh, should I do Python, should I do JavaScript, should I do machine learning, or should I do like this AR stuff that is very cool these days? So there's a lot of things that people jump into. Like, these days there's the web3 bandwagon, which a lot of people want to jump on without having like a basic foundation and things. So that is like a wrong approach. You should first understand your goals, try to explore as much as possible, try to observe different people, see what they're doing. Don't indulge, like, don't try to replicate someone, don't try to copy someone, because I mean, that is like a path of destruction, honestly, because you will end up doing nothing in that scenario. So my suggestion here is, have clear goals. You don't have to be like, oh, in 5 years time I want to like win Forbes under 30 or something like that. Don't have those kind of goals. Obviously it's up to you, you can have whatever goals you want. But what my suggestion is here is that maybe like set goals for a month or 6 months or something like that, that in 6 months I want to make sure that everybody in the tech ecosystem, or like I want to make sure that I have given about 5 technical workshops on machine learning or something like that. So if you want to do that, you'll have to build your brand accordingly. So you can think about different things, think about different scenarios, that okay, this is what I want to do, and that way you plan it out. And no, it's not always going to go as planned. There'll be things that come up, and you'll be like, okay, let's just run with it. Have an open mind for it as well. You don't have to be too closed off of your goals. You can make them flexible, but try to have some sense of direction before starting. Otherwise, you will just be like everywhere, and it won't be like, it won't be beneficial to anyone. If you do that, not even the people who you were trying to help, and not even yourself. So that's kind of like one big piece of advice that I'd want you to take back, if not anything else. And secondly, obviously, it's about content, it's about authentic content. So you can, like, you can do so many different things online these days. People have started creating ebooks, they create memes, they create like different kinds of things to either, like, maybe as developers we can try to create like a piece of content to educate others, or just to, like, put some information out there, help other people to, like, help other developers to escalate their process of programming and developing really good software. Or just in general, you want to create some sort of content to, like, give back to the community or help yourself in some ways. Maybe some people do it because, okay, I want to revise my own concept, so they create YouTube videos and do workshops. As someone said, that, teaching someone the things that you have learned has like the maximum retention rate. So you retain 90% of the things that you teach. So that's another like reason why people create and curate content. Now, when I say curate, there's a lot of scattered content out there, a lot of people doing a lot of great things. You as a person, you don't necessarily have to create content at every turn, because there's already a lot of content all out there. And no matter how much you try, it's very, very difficult to come up with very original content that, okay, nobody has ever written about this. That it's impossible to do that, almost impossible. I won't say impossible, because there are still a lot of angles that people haven't explored, and it can be done. But what my suggestion is that curating content is like, a much less bandwidth thing that you can do, and it's going to be extremely beneficial to a lot of people. So people, what they do on Twitter is they create threads where they compile a bunch of resources and put them together in like bunch of threads. So like people make threads like, 9 CSS tools that can help you create a really good UI for your next web project. Or just in general, like, 5 tools that can, like, help you improve the SEO of your next web project. So things like that you can also try to do, because all of these tools are already available out there. You can just compile them and help a lot of different people who are searching for such tools. So try to make content like this, and obviously people will be very, very thankful for it, and it will be easier for you as well. Maybe in the future you want to use your own content, because this has happened to me. I created a thread on making the most out of your tech internships. And like I compiled a lot of information that I had listened to in a space, a Twitter space, which is another like thing, another feature of Twitter, where everyone comes together, and like there are a bunch of speakers and there are a bunch of listeners, and they discuss a certain topic on Twitter spaces. So I created this thread which summarized all the points that were discussed in this Twitter space. So it was very, very, because if I would have not summarized that thing, and if I would not created that content, I would have forgotten everything that was said. And I think most of the people who discussed that thing also must have forgotten everything. But because of the fact that I did write that thread, I still can go back and refer to it in a time when, let's say, I'm starting my new internship in the next 6 months. If I start a new internship, then I'll know, I can go back to this piece of content. It will be beneficial for me as well. So think about things in content in that way as well, and try to keep it authentic. When I say authentic, it doesn't have to be. I'm not saying original in that way, that you have to create ekdam unique content. What you can do is try to be honest with people. That's what I'm trying to say, because a lot of people create content like, oh, how to get rich in like 10 days. So don't try to do that, because that's very clickbaity. Don't try to be clickbaity. when where people just like attract people in to certain kinds of content which is not exactly true, or like not exactly the kind of content that people should be consuming, because giving people false hopes is not a good thing to do, and it will actually have a negative impact on your credibility as a content creator. So a lot of other content creators will be very they won't be very appreciative of your content, as well as like people who consume your content. So that's just another tip. um and then like about networking off online. So when you're networking online, there are few ways to network. When I say networking, what it means is that you try to learn a few things about another person. You can do it in a few ways. Either you can try to connect with them on a one-on-one call, or you try to DM them. DMing them is like the first step. I won't say it's the first step, but okay. So let's just do it in a form of a story. Let's just say that you want to connect with me. You have seen my session today, and you, let's say you want to connect with me on a one-on-one call, or you want to learn more about my journey more than what I had told you in this particular session, maybe a little bit deeper into how I created Michi Spotlight or something like that. So if you want to do that, the first thing that you do is that first of all you try to interact with the content that I create, because I am a content creator. You can look through my Twitter, you can look through my LinkedIn, you can see different posts that I've created. Try to learn a little bit more about me before you can start approaching me. Right now, you don't actually, you can skip that step as well, because you have seen this session and I've like told you a lot of things. So if let's just say that if you want to connect with me, you can just straight away slide into DMs, and you can talk a little bit about yourself first, that okay, I am this person, and I saw your session today, it was very amazing, and something like that. If it was amazing or something, it was very insightful or something like that, something nice. And then you can say that okay, this was like when you talked about networking, I had these questions, and if you can, like if you have the time, I would love to either connect with you on a one-on-one call, or maybe you can like give me some pointers to like these questions that I have. So that will be great, and like it would love connecting with you. That's it. It doesn't have to be like a very big ass paragraph. It can be like a small, short, tiny message, because that way you can, like I as a person can also read through it, and I won't get bored reading it, because obviously all of us have very less attention span these days because of reels. So what my suggestion here is that you can connect with a lot of different kinds of people this way. If let's say you want to connect with someone who you haven't attended any session of, or you just seen one of their tweets, or you've just heard about them from somewhere, then it is good to like go through their content first, go through, try to understand what they're doing, try to comment on their tweets or comment on their LinkedIn posts, and try to just catch their attention in some way, so that when you approach them in DMs, you're not a complete stranger, right? Because I as a person would not want to like talk to a complete stranger on a one-on-one call. So it's usually good to build some sort of a rapport with people before you go ahead and like approach them on DMs. That is like the best way to do it. Like I said, I mean, I think this is pretty much what I want to add to this part. That interact on other people's posts. Try to be concise in your, like just try to send a concise message where you mention a little bit about yourself, only a little bit. You don't have to include your entire Jivan Gatha or something. You can just say that I am this person, I am from this college, or whatever information that you think is relevant to this conversation. You can just say that I am a UI designer, or I am someone who wants to build their personal brand as well. And like I then you mention something about the other person, that okay, I found you in this particular way, that maybe I came across your LinkedIn post and it was very insightful. Or you can just mention the name of the post, or like mention a few things about it. And then you can just say that okay, maybe I had this particular question, or like I want to connect with you to talk more about this particular topic, and looking forward to connecting with you. Thanks a lot, have a nice day, something around those lines. And that way, even if let's just say that even if I don't reply you, or even if you don't get a response from the other end, that even then it is possible that maybe you can you've at least like captured their attention in some way or the other. You can also connect with people on Twitter Spaces, which is an amazing platform as well, like where people talk and all. So you can go up as a speaker, ask questions to people, and that way I think like that's the most effective way, because what else is better than actually talking to another person, and like being able to ask your questions. So even in those spaces, you can introduce yourself, you can talk a little bit about how much you know about them, and then proceed with whatever things that you want to ask. That is like one another really great way to do it. Now if you talk about offline networking, right, when you wanna go and go to like an offline event, and you want to translate your online personal brand into an offline event, there are a few things that you can again do. Now, there was this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And in that book, like the crux of the book basically says that you should try to be interested instead of being interesting. So, a lot of people, what they do is they talk about themselves. They try to be like, oh, I am this, I am that, and I've done this and that. I am the king of the world, or something like that. And just I'm very interesting, and like I've done big things, and yeah, that's kind of about me, and what about you? And then when the other person speaks, you're like, ah, yeah, whatever. Oh, you've done this, I've also done this, and then go on talking about that one thing. So what I'm trying to say here is that don't try to, like, whenever you're trying to network, it's not about you, it's about like having a conversation with another person. And the way you do that is by having a balanced conversation where both of the sides are like not like burdened by talking. There are a lot of introverts in the tech ecosystem, and they don't necessarily like talking a lot. So the way you try to increase that is like by asking really good questions, by being genuinely interested in another person, because interested in another person and what they have to say. I'm not in the other way, just in like a professional sense, that just be interested in what they have to say, and not in a superficial way that okay, yeah, okay, okay, I'm totally listening to you, but I can't understand anything. I'm not exactly listening to you, I'm just listening from one ear, and I'm getting it out of the other. So it shouldn't be like that. It should be like where you try to understand and piece together their story through the things that they are telling you. So try to be as interested as possible. It's like when you're reading a fiction book, you pick up the book and you try to like go ahead, read, flip pages, try to read as much as you can, and then eventually there comes a point that you're very curious about what happens next. Same goes for TV shows. When you watch TV shows with a lot of curiosity, because you want to know what happens in the end or something like that. So the same way you have to be interested in that other person's story, try to piece together what kind of person are they, and like what all things they are doing, and like how maybe try to think of ways in which you can be helpful to them, and they can be in the same ways helpful to you. But mostly try to make sure that you shouldn't always think of like an advantage, because a lot of people they network because they think that okay, maybe someday this person might come in handy or something. That's actually, you can't exactly predict that, because maybe in 2 years time that person won't be relevant, or that person would go off into retirement and like never code again or something. So you don't know actually. You shouldn't actually think in those in those terms that okay, this person might be beneficial for me. Always think in terms of what I can do for other people, so that when I am like when the time comes when I am someone who needs help, I have someone to turn to, at least even if they might not be qualified to help me at that point. Because you can never really define who will be helpful and who wouldn't be, because that's the fact of life, right? You can't determine beforehand that this person will actually help you when the time comes. You can be extremely helpful to another person, but they might not end up helping you back. So I think the best way to do this is like try to think of it as that you are trying to build your credibility again here. You try to do things for the other person so that you can build your own rapport with them, and it's up to them and the kind of person that they are, to help you back whenever you are in need. So that is one way to look at it, and try to be as interested as possible in other people. uh, One way to do that is like the an analogy that I used, and use some sort of like a when people ask about you that okay, who are you or something, you can go up to them and tell like a couple of sentences about yourself, something like an elevator pitch. Maybe like a few lines. If I go up and start telling someone about myself, obviously there's so much to tell, like I am a GitHub Field Expert, I'm a GitHub Campus Expert, I'm doing this, that, whatever. If I go on and tell them about my life story, then they obviously will get bored. So what you should do is try to figure out like those 2 to 3 important things that you want to mention to this other person, who which might make you interesting in their eyes. So let's just assume that I have 2 people that I want to go up to and like introduce myself. So the way I can do it is that maybe like I can first of all try to identify which is which, and like what kind of things would they be interested in. If one person is, let's say, a software engineer at some big company, I can go up to them and mention that okay, I'm a software engineer, like I used to be a software engineer, and like I've worked with GitHub, I've created a lot of developer communities, etc., etc., and they will be more interested in talking to me in just an instant, because I'm talking about things that are like sort of relevant in their eyes. Whereas if I go up to someone who's, let's say, a designer, or let's just say that someone who is not from the technical field, someone who's from outside, let's say I am going to meet an actor who is like very popular or not very popular, it doesn't matter. If I want to go and network with them, if I go and tell them that hey, I'm a software developer at like I've worked with GitHub, and I've built communities and all that, they won't care at all what I'm doing, and it doesn't matter to them, right? So when the way I introduce myself to this other person is that okay, you know what, like I admire your work, like especially if I don't have any depth in their area of expertise, I can just talk about them. And then when I'm introducing myself, I can just say that I'm a, like I have followed your work a lot, I've read a lot of your stuff, or like I've seen a lot of your movies or things like that. Or just in general, you can just say that I am myself like a developer, but I enjoy these like enjoy the occasional movies and stuff that you've created or something like that. So my point being that if you are trying to network with someone, if you're trying to introduce someone, try to mention only the things that are relevant to them. Think from their perspective, try to be empathetic from their perspective, that if, let's just say that if you were in their place and someone like you came up to them and was talking about introducing themselves, then how would you capture their attention? That is like another thing to be mindful of. And mention just enough for them to be curious enough to look you up maybe after the event. So usually in tech events there are no actors, just in like just in case I'm mentioning that just in case people start looking for actors and tech meetups, it's usually not the case. So what my suggestion here is that try to make them as almost as curious as possible, so that like if you maybe tag them after the event in a tweet or a LinkedIn post that okay, today I met this person and it was very nice meeting them, and etc., etc., they would want to know more about you, they would want to connect with you, they want to find more about you, and like just in general learn more about you, right? So make them curious enough by mentioning only the relevant things that you want them to know about yourself, and then they can do like their own research through your profile, through your social and online presence that you have already. So yeah, I mean, those are like a few things that I want to mention here. Now, when it comes to seeking opportunities via LinkedIn or Twitter, this is like the circle that I usually refer to when it comes to like seeking opportunities. You have to have like 3 things at least: your personal brand that you're building, your skills, because with you can build a very big personal brand around yourself, but if you don't have the skills, nobody, you can do whatever you want, you can create as much content as you want, but you won't be able to build your credibility, because once one day or another, like people will understand, okay, you actually don't know things. So that is another thing that you should be mindful of. I have seen a lot of people who have like amazing personal brands, and they're like, they claim themselves to be developers, but they're actually they don't even know how to write commands on shell, or like like just on the terminal, and they don't know how to change directories and stuff, like very basic stuff also they don't know. And that was very appalling, honestly, and kind of why I suggest a lot of people who are trying to build personal brands to not entirely focus on social media and numbers and all that stuff, because that is like a huge bubble and like a very giant black hole where you can get sucked into. And you'll just think about numbers, you'll just think about engagement, likes and reach and stuff. Don't do that to yourself. Focus on your skills. Try to build yourself. Whenever you feel that you're getting too attached to numbers and all that in social media, you try to go and refocus yourself into the skills that you're trying to build. Optimize your profile as you build your skills. Keep optimizing it, keep updating it. Whenever you get a new opportunity, whenever you get a new whenever you do some sort of a new thing, try to keep your audience updated and yourself and your profile updated as well. And networking can be done in ways that I have already mentioned, like DMs and like just talking to people through Twitter spaces or offline events, stuff like that. And then through that networking, you can like ask for referrals. If your profile is up to date and your skills are like up to date, then people, if you approach people for referrals, okay, can you please refer me to this company, I am a software engineer or like some sort of person, and here's my resume. Because usually when you forward someone your resume, they might not be able to get the full picture out of it. But if you have like a proper personal brand to support yourself, then obviously people will be more than eager to give you a referral, because it's a two-way street. Just always remember that, because when someone is giving you a referral, they are also like getting something in return from their company. Usually there are like companies give out like some sort of prizes and some sort of things, gifts to people who refer people who end up getting hired. So I mean, if I go and refer someone in my company that, okay, hire this person, and they end up hiring him or her, then I will be given some sort of reward through some sort of gifts or things like that. So it's a two-way street. Like and my reputation is also attached to the like the way you are there, like the way the other person is perceived. So if you are if I refer someone who ends up becoming very valuable to the company, obviously people will start trusting me more with my referrals and like my choices and stuff. So that is again like another two-way street thing that you should think of before asking for referrals to another person. So yeah, these are a few things that you can keep in mind while seeking opportunities via LinkedIn and Twitter. And one last thing that I want to mention, and even if you don't take up anything from this session, that is fine. You can like go and revisit this later on. But always remember that even if you're not consciously working on your personal brand, your online presence still affects your personal professional life. The reason how it happens is the way it happens is that, let's just say that you apply to a job today at Google or some other big company. They will look at your LinkedIn profile, they will look at your Twitter profile, they look at your different profiles, your GitHub profile and other different social profiles, and they try to identify the kind of person you are. And if you haven't updated your profile, or if you haven't if you haven't built your credibility on that platform, it'd be very difficult for them to learn more about you, especially in the initial stages. Obviously there's the interview stage and all that stuff, but initial stages and all, and more importantly in opportunities where there is no interview, like there's some freelancing opportunities, collaborations and stuff, where usually people just want to go with people who they can genuinely trust without actually having to interrogate them. So that is another thing that you should just keep in mind while you're building your personal brand. So yeah, that's all I had for today. Thanks a lot for joining and listening to me. I know I promised that it would be a small session, but it ended up being a lot, because I mean, there's a lot to talk about on this topic, and I can go on and on for a long time. But the thing is that, again, like, these are just a lot of things to keep in mind. Do revisit the session after this, like whenever you want, because it's going to be on YouTube. But yeah, over to the organizers, if they want to add anything, or like, if you want to take any questions, if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments, because like, I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you may have. So yeah.
Do we have any questions in the comment section?
So Kanishk is saying that, regrettably, I reached out to you via 100 days of UX in this manner, but you did not respond to me on Twitter. So on Twitter, like I mentioned, I have 24,000 people following me, and I get almost 10 to 20 requests every day, because, especially because of the GitHub Field Day now, like, a lot of people come up and raise their queries and stuff. So I mean, I will look back and see if I can find your request and your message, and I would love to, like, get back to you as well. But the thing is that it's sometimes it is very difficult to keep track of different people who are reaching out to us. So yeah, I think Jayesh asked a question. Yes. Would you recommend interning at startups or MNCs, and why? Um, that question deserves a section of its own, honestly. It totally depends on you as a person. Like, I'm just going to give you the short answer. If you as a person wants a structured way of going about working, in any company or in a professional setting, if you want a structured way where there is a mentor who's always there to guide you, where there's a setup in place, which you can follow, there are rules, there are protocols to follow, and there's a, like, very organized and matured setup, and like a very constrained environment, 9 to 5 and all that, then MNCs is the option that you go for. Because if you intern at MNCs, you get uh, that kind of structure that you need. Especially, this is useful for people who are, like, not very organized in life, who want to, jump from their personal life to a professional, like, not personal, but like, jump from the student academic life to their professional life in a structured way. So in that scenario, you should go for interning at MNCs. But if you want to be more flexible, if you want more ownership over the things that you do, and you want to experiment, you want to try out new things, you want to be creative, you want to take up new roles, you want to explore, then I think startups are the way to go. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. All right, I think no other questions are there.
Um, I think we don't have any more questions. So I think with this we come to a conclusion to this event. Thank you so much, Vaishnavi, for such an informative event. I personally enjoyed your talk a lot and noted down quite a many points. You all can check out Vaishnavi's socials on Instagram. That is at the rate Dwivedi, DWVICY. Thank you, Vaishnavi, for making this so informative. Once this YouTube session ends, it will be uploaded onto the official channel of GDSC JSSTU so that in case any of your friends have missed this session, they can watch it. Stay tuned to have more such events of GDSC. Thank you, everyone.
I think Darsha, there's one more question. If we can take that up before we conclude.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
personal branding while applying for masters, it doesn't help. Really, it does not help because they don't really care about anything other than your scores. They only care about your GRE or um, your academics, your GPA and stuff. And internships in general, they don't really care that much about, unless you can get a letter of recommendation from the place where you interned at, like maybe a glowing recommendation from those people in the field that is relevant to your the field that you're applying to. So if you're applying for as a software or like as a CS student, then if you get a letter of recommendation from some big company like maybe like Hacker Rank or maybe Google or Facebook or something, and you get a recommendation from them, from one of your managers over there, and ask them to submit that to the university, then you will definitely have a very good shot at getting shortlisted and getting accepted at a good university. So that's one thing. And another thing is that usually these universities, like there's this ranking order where of preference that they give to different things. So the topmost preference goes to the scores, the GRE, TOEFL, and GPA and stuff. Then comes the research opportunities that you've been a part of. Maybe like there are a lot of research fellowships these days, like MyTax and stuff, and there is like there are a lot of research internships as well that you can do. A lot of people look at the number of research papers that you have published. So that is another, like the second thing that is most important usually. And then they look at your internships, your letter of recommendations and stuff, and then your other extracurricular activities like volunteering and all that. But usually this is the way it goes. And they have like certain priorities when it comes to students. Now these days a lot of people, like especially now, there's a lot of inflation in grades. We all know why, because of the online exams. And online exams, like everyone started getting 10 CGPA, 9.9 and stuff like that. So after that, like people have started recognizing that there's going to be a lot of inflation in the next few years. So they will probably give more preference to other things like internships and research papers that you've published and teams that you're part of, letter of recommendations that you've received from people. So that is like, just focus on these things. If you want to go for masters, you can build your personal brand because it will help you when you go outside, when you are doing your masters. Then you will, like, it will be a very good time, because whenever you share your profile with professors, they will offer you like a lot of opportunities just on the basis of the credibility that you have built through your online presence. So they will be excited to work with you. They'll be readily offering you opportunities, assistantships, which you can subsidize your tuition or like give you some sort of stipend. So yeah, I mean, do try this out and see how it works. So yeah. Okay, Anaga is asking, how important was community building to building your personal branding? Hmm. Okay. So I would say it was like a two-way street. I was able to build communities because of my personal brand as well. When I started my own community called MichiSpotlight, a lot of people came and started reading my newsletter, mostly because I had already built a lot of credibility through LinkedIn. A lot of people already knew that, okay, I am someone who has worked at startups, who has done a lot of work, who has built projects. So maybe she knows what she's talking about. So they started subscribing to my newsletter. And then through the newsletter, the credibility started building even more because they could see my work. So it was like kind of like fueling, the two things were like kind of fueling each other. My community was building, and my credibility was also being built in the process parallelly, because of the work that I was doing in the communities. So my initially it all started with the personal brand. That's why I was able to create the communities. Because of the communities, the personal brand grew even more. So that's kind of how it works, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I mean, it played a very crucial role because it allowed me to go to the next level. It allowed me to interact with a lot of people, learn more about collaborating within teams, learn more about understanding problems of different people. Because when you're building a personal brand, it's more of like you're building an audience where on Twitter or on LinkedIn, it's just a stream of consciousness. You just post things and like you're just shooting at things, not literally but metaphorically. You're just trying to figure out different things and trying to put out different kinds of content. But when it comes to building a community, you try to understand the other person as well. What do they want? And then accordingly, you try to do things in their way and trying to benefit them. So that's actually a very amazing process. You get to grow a lot. So yeah, I think that's how it helped me build my brand, and that's how my personal brand helped me in community building as well. So yeah. Okay, so can you tell us about your experience as a GDSC lead and the connections you made from it? I mean, I think GDSC, like it was many moons ago. GDSC was like a long. It seems like it was a very long time ago, but it was one of my first opportunities that I had gotten in the lockdown, and it really helped me a lot because it boosted a lot of my confidence. It boosted a lot of my credibility as well. When you put GDSC lead on your profile, then people are like, oh, maybe she has done something right in her life, so that's why she got selected for this. Because there are a lot of people who get rejected, a lot of people who just in general who have done a lot of hard work to reach that title of GDSC lead. So I think that was one thing, and another thing was that through a lot of weekly sync ups that we used to have as GDSC leads, I think we were the first batch which was online. And before us, like people were like enjoying a lot in offline events. People had like a proper graduation ceremony for GDSC leads in Goa, and it was amazing. But for us, it was just everything was online, sorry. So for us, the best way to connect was like the best way to make the most out of it was like collaborating with a lot of other GDSC leads. And the one thing that I did was, which was really amazing, was that I did not limit myself to just my region of community of GDSC leads, or like of Indian GDSC leads, but also like people from outside. There was a GDSC lead from Singapore with whom I had gotten together and organized like a very amazing event around the Google coding challenges, the different programs that Google has. So we did that, and like we collaborated with another 9 GDSC leads who are from different parts of the world. So that was an amazing networking opportunity. GDSC also like Google also helped us um, like create like opportunities for us where we could like just all come together, go into breakout rooms, meet different kinds of people, connect with them, network with them. So that is a very amazing way to get to know someone one on one, especially in the online world. And it really changed my entire experience in the tech ecosystem because it helped me, like it gave me that platform, that bridge that I needed to get to another place, to get to the place that I am in right now. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, and like for people who are applying for it, I mean, I wish you all the best. I even encouraged my own brother to apply for it. Even he was GDS lead last year, and it really helped him a lot in becoming a leader and just making sure, like bringing out your passion for communities. So. I mean, if you're considering it, do go ahead, and I wish you all the best for it.
Do we have any more questions? I think that was the last one, right? I concluded the event way before time. My bad. But I think that was the last question, was it?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm okay with answering questions, but it's just that we're kind of way past time, and yeah, I
Yeah, we
mean
have
that's okay. I
exceeded
mean,
time.
I have nothing to do with Sunday, so yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think there are no more questions being asked in the chat. Yeah. So I think this will be the official conclusion, I guess. Thank you
Yes.
once again, Vaishnavi, for being
Thank you,
such an
Darsha.
amazing speaker. And once again, thank you for making this event very interesting. This session will be uploaded onto the YouTube channel of GDSC JSSTU in case anyone has missed. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.